abound, and so confusion multiplies. The Bible, the good book. I once heard someone say, in fact, I thought this comment was so good, I've echoed this many, many, many times. The good book. If that's a good book, give me a bad book anytime. As thick, let's be honest, as thick and forbidding as a phone book. As indecipherable and as exciting as the fine print in an insurance policy. You ever try to read any of that stuff? Can I speak candidly here? Sometimes the man who took the Bible and said, bah humbug, sometimes I get a little of what he meant to say. Misconceptions and confusion. People oftentimes will take the Bible and they will approach it more or less as kind of like chicken soup for the soul, filled with all kinds of just uplifting, edifying stories, sometimes, but not always. Heroic figures, sometimes, but most of the people in the Bible are not heroes. They're as clueless as me and you. A book filled with sound and sage advice. Or, for other people, it becomes, and I've heard this before, the manual for life. Just like that little manual in your glove compartment that helps you decipher all of those lights or whatever else might be going wrong with your car at any given moment. And so whether you want to know how to get that stubborn stain out of the carpet, this is no exaggeration, I've heard people say this, or how to navigate a bear market with your meager savings, you'll find it all here. But the problem, you see, is that both approaches set squarely upon this conception. That the good book is fundamentally, and this is going to be a bit of a shock, that the good book is fundamentally about you, or about me, or about us. So we come to church today, and the gospel is read, one that we are comfortable with, that we are familiar with, and we think, well, you know what? Finally, a reading that is straightforward, no riddles. In fact, some of us might even venture a reasoned guess about what it's really all about. Surely the pastor will build on it, especially with McRest Week coming. Something about how we are called to seek out the lost. And you know what? That's all good. That's all good. Except that's not really the point at all this morning. Which is to say, that's not the point of these two short stories, these two short parables. Admittedly, the stories of losing a sheep and losing a coin resonate with each and every one of us. Everyone in this room has had that moment, that unsettling experience where all of a sudden you realize something is missing, or someone is missing. At St. Mark, I've done an unscientific survey. More often than not, what's missing are keys. Right? Keys. Great story. You know, keys today are not this simple affair for your car. And I remember my last car. I don't know what I was doing. There you go. Like I never figured that out. And I was in the sanctuary. I was up near the holy place, and I misplaced my key, my car key. I searched high and low. I went everywhere I could possibly think. I went to places that I hadn't even been. And it just confirmed my conviction that St. Mark's is the Bermuda Triangle. I could not find those keys anywhere. Well, you know, some of you, I bet you know, right? You go to the dealer, and $250 later, voila, right? Yeah. And then I come to church, and Cheryl Franks found it. Story of my life. But I've done a scientific survey. Keys are number one, but I think a close second, in fact, it may at some point eclipse, Dan Baker, may eclipse keys, and that's cell phones. See my cell phone? You know where my cell phone is? Dan, can you relate to that? Do you know where that is?
Yes.
But sometimes, though, the things that are missing, sometimes it's important papers, and sometimes, most importantly, what is missing are people. It was about, I think, two and a half years ago. It was a cloudy winter morning. I think it was a Saturday, and Karen was looking out the front door of our home. And she was, I think what she was trying to do was gauge the snowfall and then wondering whether someone might actually go outside and move it. Yours truly. And then out of the corner of her eye, she saw this dog. Not quite medium-sized, really cute with shaggy black hair, just moving tentatively along the sidewalk, looking frankly lost. And I don't know how it was, but she opened the door and somehow she charmed and beckoned and corralled that dog. And the next thing you know, our two killer Labrador retrievers were killer labs. We're going absolutely insane, barking. I come downstairs. What is all this commotion about? And there was this little pup with frightened eyes standing in the family room. Jackson was his name. That's what it said on the name tag. It said Jackson, but there was no address. There was no phone number, no nothing. And so Karen went to work. Because she didn't lose her cell phone, Dan. She took it and took some pictures and then immediately clicked and sent all of those pictures out into the ether of cyberspace, one of them being Grosse Pointe Mom's swap and shop. It was maybe about 5 minutes later that a message came back. I think that's my friend's dog. And then close on the heels was another message. That's my dog. I'm at work and left my husband in charge. And we won't go into that. Not less, right, Karen? Not less than maybe 5 minutes later, there I was with a leash on Jackson. We were running through the snow, and as it turned out, by the grace of God, Jackson's family lived about 7 houses down the street, and there was Jackson's owner looking forlorn and lost and disheveled, running to meet him, grabbing him, scooping him up, lifting him up, gave him a relieved and joyful welcome worthy of anything in Luke chapter 15. Rejoice with me. I found the lost sheep. I found the lost coin. I found my dog. Rejoice with me. Cheryl found my keys. It's something that, again, that all of us can relate to. And ultimately, that's what I think even these stories are ultimately about. And so the question is more specifically about what we are supposed to do when the entirety of the good book, and these 2 stories in particular, are fundamentally not about us, but about God. The God who searches relentlessly, the God who never ever calls off the search, who is never at a loss for time, who is never at a loss for energy or resources, or for a new way to get to you. The God who doesn't stay put, the God who doesn't watch from the distance, a God, you see, who goes after those who are lost. In case you were wondering, this story about God, in this story about God, the lost sheep, that's you. The lost coin, that's me. The good book is fundamentally, essentially, first and foremost, about God. About the God who is for us. And I know sometimes in the world and as we experience it, it doesn't always feel like God is for us. But that's what he wants us to understand. The God who draws close to us in unexpected form. The form of a man gasping for the next breath, for a man on a cross with his arms open wide to all. Annie Dillard is a Pulitzer Prize winner, incredibly gifted writer, an American writer. And she recalls, as a little girl growing up in Pittsburgh, she recalls the day she marched into the office of her pastor at Shadyside Presbyterian Church, a big church in Pittsburgh. And she said, she walked in right into the office, and she said to the pastor, she said, "Religion is hooey. I want out. Take me off the rolls." And it turned out this pastor was kind of like a David Paul, a seasoned, wise, grandfatherly type who didn't bat an eye and who said, "Well, okay, we'll do that." And she said, but aren't you going to try to talk me out of it? And she said, oh, no. You're much, much too smart for that. I wouldn't even attempt. She said, well, take me off. And with that, she turned on her heels and walked out the door. And on her way down the hall, she overheard the pastor say to the secretary, she'll be back. She whirled around again, went back down the hall into the office. And she said, what did you say? And he said, oh, I just said you'd be back. And she said, well, I'm not. It's my life, my choice, my decision. Goodbye. But as she tells her life story, it was about 30 years later, she said, I'm back. Of course, loving our neighbor and reaching out to others and seeking the lost is what we do in St. Mark. It's what McRest is about, and so many of the other things that we are about. But it begins first and foremost with the understanding that we have all been found by a love that says quitting is never, ever an option. If at some point in your earthly pilgrimage, if you or a son or a daughter or a good friend suddenly decide that they've had enough and that they can find hope on their own, or they can find the meaning of life in some other place other than the gospel of Jesus Christ, just know this, that when they protest about how it's their life and their choice and their decision, just remember this, when a wise old pastor once said to me, keep looking over your shoulder.